participating in these meetings, and I kind of knew that my turn will also come one of these days. And I'm happy that it is happening at a time when I'm around and I kind of can participate in it personally. So let me begin by thanking JNUTA and also congratulating JNUTA for keeping up the spirit of JNU alive, the spirit of many things alive actually, not just JNU. I think JNUTA, as you were saying, it's a distinctive institution. JNU is a distinctive institution, and I think we need JNUTA to do much more than we have ever needed. And JNUTA also means we need JNU to do much more than it has ever been significant. As Guru was just saying, I joined JNU in 2001 after having taught in the University of Hyderabad for 8 years, and I was 3 years in Chandigarh. Before I joined the University of Hyderabad, I was briefly in Surat at the Center for Social Studies, which is still there, a research institute set up by I.P. Desai and Ghanshyam Shah. And I remember I was saying the other day also when I joined here in 2001, many people thought, including my colleagues, that I won't stay here for very long. I'm somebody who kind of keeps jumping around. And when I actually joined JNU, I was, like many of us did in those days until recently, perhaps 8 or 10 years back, to come and become a warden. And I was warden of Kaveri Hospital, then I moved to Brahmapura Hospital. And one thing that I really kind of felt very bad about, why was I not a student here? Right? What you like about JNU the most is the student here, not simply the person who comes to the classroom, the person who roams around until 3 o'clock in the night, and just the fun of it and the learnings that happen, that used to happen at Ganga Dhaba, in hostels, in conversations, or otherwise, just kind of friendships that people had here. I really used to feel very envious of JNU students. And then I also, at some level, I used to think that JNU is very, at some level, in double quotes, parochial. JNU, I coined the term that there are natives and non-natives in JNU, even the faculty who join JNU faculty, there is a very clear distinction made between JNU natives and non-natives. By the time I came here, most of my colleagues were those who had studied in JNU, and this is something that I've heard from others also. But over the last 1 month, I have felt that my biggest success has been to be able to transcend that binary or distinction, and the manner in which I have been owned up, not only by my colleagues, most importantly by students. And I know on the 26th of November, there was a day-long conference which my colleagues organized, and it was packed. And I was told later on that many students who were sitting there all through the day, they had come from other universities in Delhi. They were obviously all of them perhaps were from Delhi, some of them also came from outside, but they were my students, they came because of me. But they came from all over the city and they sat through. They were, as happens in JNU seminar, people stand and they sit on floor also. And it went on for the whole day. And next day, some of my students organized an evening kind of program in which there were some conversations and panel discussion. And they were able to find some, I wish people knew about it earlier, perhaps they also didn't know it would turn out to be so good. It was a Sufi music, they picked up some people from Punjab, and it was such a good event. I personally was kind of, I felt really pampered, and I felt envious of myself. How could this actually happen to somebody? So thank you very much, JNU, and thank you, JNUTA. And as we've been saying, and this is something that I heard from a colleague, that this is not really retiring, it should be called retiring, right? You're just wearing a new tire, a new set of tires to get ready for the next kind of. And we know our colleagues have been working to retire 15 years back, 20 years back. They're still writing. So how old she must be? How many years has she been retired for? She retired before she was 65, I know. So she's been retired for like 35 years, and she's still one of the most productive scholars in the world. So yes, unfortunately, my wife Sneha, who also happens to be a professor here, and she has another 8 years, so I will continue to be staying on the campus with the JNU stays as the computer survives. So thank you very much. And the final thing is that, if I look at my career, I feel I have grown a lot, largely because of my students. The richest experience I've had in JNU, and that's what kept me in JNU, was the classroom experience, right? And also, obviously, your research scholars in classroom will go, give a lecture, give a talk, and then sometimes you feel, this was really good after the question was asked to me. And the way I responded, there's something that I should write down, that gradually you develop those ideas into papers, and then those papers again get kind of challenged by students. And those conversations have been source of learning for me. And also they raise questions, because we are obviously privileged that we are located in the national capital and we get some of the best students. And because our net is very large, and it used to obviously be, it still continues to. I taught this semester also, this ongoing semester. I'm a first semester student. My colleague said, this is your last semester here. Guys, I'm retiring in November, leave me alone. They said, no, please, for the sake of the students, I readily agreed. And it was such a wonderful experience. First semester student, that day when I organized that student organized an evening program, and I also called them home for dinner. A large number of them, one of them said, I came all the way from Noida. She was first semester student. Right? And this kind of connection, I don't think you'll get anywhere in the world. This is the rarest of the rare places, which is still a kind of learning place. All of us learn by just being on JNU. This is something that I will always be grateful for, providing me this space for learning, this space for kind of being a scholar. And I think being a scholar also means being a citizen. And being a citizen also means being critical, and that is what the tradition of JNU and JNUTA has been.